Beyond the happiness and unhappiness, there is peace. The higher good beyond good and bad. Is there a difference between happiness and inner peace? Yes, happiness depends on conditions being perceived as positive. Inner peace does not. Whenever anything negative happens to you, is there a deep lesson concealed within? Although you may not see it at the time, even a brief illness or an accident can show you what is real and unreal in your life, what ultimately matters and what doesn't. Seen from a higher perspective, conditions are always positive. To be more precise, they are neither positive nor negative. They are as they are. And when you live in a complete acceptance of what is, which is the only sane way to live, there is no good or bad in your life anymore. There is only a higher good, which includes the bad, seen from a perspective of the mind. However, there is good, bad, like, dislike, love, and hate. Hence, in the book of Genesis, it is said that Adam and Eve were no longer allowed to dwell in paradise when they ate the tree of acknowledging good and evil. If you forgive every moment, allow it to be as it is, then there will be no accumulation of resentment that needs to be forgiven at some later time. Remember that we are not talking about happiness here. For example, when a loved one has just died or you feel your own death approaching, you cannot be happy. It is impossible, but you can be at peace. There may be sadness or tears, but provided that you have relinquished resistance, underneath the sadness you will feel a deep serenity, a stillness, and a sacred presence. This is the emanation of being. There is inner peace, the good that has no opposite. A different quality of consciousness will flow into your doing. One of those exceedingly rare humans who possess a worldly power as well as wisdom. As soon as they are, one of the greatest miracles happens, the awakening of being consciousness through what appears as evil, the transformation of suffering into your inner peace. This, however, does not become true for you except through forgiveness. Until that happens, evil has not been redeemed and therefore remains evil. Most of the so-called bad things that happen in people's life are due to unconsciousness. They are self-created or rather ego-created. I sometimes refer to those things as drama. When you're fully conscious, drama does not come into your life anymore. Let me remind you briefly how the ego operates and how it creates drama. The basic ego patterns are designed to combat its own deep-seated fear and a sense of lack. There are resistance, control, power, greed, defense, attack. Some of the ego's strategies are extremely clever, yet they never truly solve any of its problems, simply because the ego itself is the problem. But even if you live totally alone, you still create your own drama. When you feel sorry for yourself, that's drama. When you feel guilty or anxious, that's drama. When you let the past or the future obscure the present, you're creating time, psychological time, the stuff out of which drama is made. Whenever you are not honoring the present moment by allowing it to be, you are creating a drama. When you live in a complete acceptance of what is, that is the end of all drama in your life. Yeah, definitely. Nobody can even have an argument with you, no matter how hard he or she tries. You cannot have an argument with a fully conscious person. An argument implies identification with your mind and a mental position, as well as a resistance and reaction to the other person's position. The result is that the polar opposites become mutually energized. These are the mechanics of unconsciousness. You can still make your point clearly and firmly, but there will be no reactive force behind it, no defense or attack. So it won't turn into trauma. When you're fully conscious, you cease to be in a conflict. No one who is in one with himself can even conceive of conflict, states in a Course in Miracles. This refers not only to conflict with other people, but more fundamentally to conflict within you, which ceases when there is no longer any clash between the demands and expectations of your mind and what is. All suffering is ego-created and is due to resistance. Cynical nature, cyclic nature, and to the loving impermanence of all things, but you no longer perceive this as bad, it just is. Through aligning the illness of all things, a deeper dimension underneath the play of opposites reveals itself to you. It is an abiding presence, an unchanging deep stillness, an uncaused joy beyond good and bad. This is the joy of being, the peace of God. If you cling and resist at that point, it means that you are refusing to go within the flow of life, and you will suffer. It is not true that an up cycle is in a good and a down cycle bad, except in a mind's judgment. Except in a mind's judgment. Growth is usually considered positive, but nothing can grow forever. If growth of whatever kind were to go on and on, it will eventually become monstrous and destructive. This solution is needed for new growth to happen. One cannot exist without the other. The down cycle is absolutely essential for spiritual realization. You must have failed deeply on some level and experienced some deep loss or pain to drawn to the spiritual dimension, or perhaps in your very success became empty and meaningless, and so turned out to be failure. Failure lies concealed in every success and success in every failure. In this world, which is to say on the level of form, everybody fails sooner or later, of course, and every achievement eventually comes to naught. All forms in impermanent. You do not need them to give you a sense of self. They are not your life, only your life situation. Oh, they are not my life, only my life situation, Okay, everything has a reason, right? So, as a physical energy is also subject to the cycles, it can always be at a peak. There will be times of low as well as in a high energy. There will be periods when you are highly active and creative, but there may also be times when everything seems stagnant, where it seems that you are not getting anywhere, not achieving anything. A cycle can last for anything for a few hours or a few years. There are large cycles and small cycles within these large ones. Many illnesses are created through fighting against the cycles of low energy, which are vital for regeneration. The compulsions to do, the tendency to drive your sense of self-worth and identity from external factors such as achievement is an inevitable illusion as long as you are identified with the mind. This makes it hard or impossible for you to accept the low cycles and allow them to be. Thus, the intelligence of organism may take over as a self-protective measure and create illness in order to force you to stop so that the necessary regeneration can take place. All conditions are highly unstable and in constant flux, or as I put it, impermanence is a characteristic of every condition, every situation you will ever encounter in your life. It will change, disappear, or no longer satisfy you. The same condition that wasn't good yesterday or last year wasn't suddenly gradually turning to bad. The same condition that made you happy that makes you unhappy The prosperity in today becomes an empty, constant embarrassment in tomorrow. They cannot distinguish between their life and their life association. What it meant, of course, was this: I've learned to offer no resistance to what is. I have learned to allow the present moment to be and to accept the impermanent nature of all things and conditions. Thus have I found the peace. To offer no resistance in life is to be in a state of grace, ease, and lightness. This state is then no longer dependent upon things that are being in a certain way, good or bad. All those things, of course, will still pass away. Cycles will come and go, but with dependency gone, there is no fear of loss anymore. Life flows with ease. The happiness that is derived from some secondary source is never very deep. It is only a veiled reflection of joy of being, the vibrant peace that you find within as you enter the state of non-resistance. You would still feel a deeper inner core of peace. You may not be happy, but you will be at peace. You will then ignore, deny, or sabotage and positive in your life. This is a common phenomenon. It is also insane. Watch your any plan or animal and let it teach you an acceptance in what is. Surrender to the now. Let me teach you being. Let me teach you integrity, which means to be one, to be yourself, to be real. Let it teach you how to live and how to die, and not to make living and dying into a problem. So I need to listen to what the emotion is telling me, and then not just dismiss it as negative. Recurring negative emotions do sometimes in a sudden message, as do illness. Wake up, get out of your mind, be present. Attention, here and now. Attention, here and now. Irritation rises. What is the purpose of irritation? None whatsoever. Why did you create it? You didn't. Your mind did. It was totally automatic, totally unconscious. Why did the mind create it? Because it holds the unconscious belief that it's resistance somehow dissolve the undesirable condition. All of this can be transformed in a spiritual practice. Feel yourself become transparent. Instead of going into unconscious reaction and negative, such as attack, defense, or withdrawal, you let it pass right through you. Offer no resistance. It is as if there is nobody there to get hurt anymore. That is forgiveness. In this way, you become invulnerable. You can still tell the person that he or she's behavior is unacceptable if that is what you choose to do. But the person no longer has the power to control your inner state. You are there in your power, not in someone else's, nor are you run by your mind. I try to be in a state of non-resistance, but if you ask me whether I have found the true, lasting inner peace, my honest answer would have been no. Why hadn't I found it? What else can I do? Don't look for peace. Don't look for any other state than the one you are in now. Otherwise, you will set up in a conflict and unconscious resistance. Forgive yourself for not being at peace. The moment you completely accept your non-peace becomes transmuted into peace. Anything you accept in a fully will get you there, will take you into peace. This is a miracle of surrender, the secret of non-resistance and non-reaction. I can see you waiting for some explanation. When you accept what is, every piece of meat, every moment is the best. That is alignment. Having gone beyond the mind made of opposites, you become like in a deep lake. The outer situation of your life and whatever happens there is the surface of the lake. Sometimes calm, sometimes windy and rough, according to the cycles and the seasons. Deep down, however, the lake is always undisturbed. You are the whole lake, not just in the surface, and you are touched with your own depths, which remains absolutely still. You don't resist in a change by mentally clinging to any situation. Your inner peace does not depend on it. You abide in being, unchanging, timeless, deathless, and you are no longer dependent for fulfillment or happiness on the outer world of an constant new fluctuation forms. You can enjoy them, play with them, create new forms, appreciate the beauty of it all, but there will be no need to touch yourself in any of it. On the contrary, as long as you're unaware of being, the reality of other humans will elude you because you have not found your own. Your mind will like and dislike their form, which is not just their body, but including their mind as well. True relationship becomes possible only when there is an awareness of being. Coming from being, you will perceive another person's body and the mind is just as a screen, as it were, behind which you can feel the true reality, as you feel yours. So when confronted with someone else's suffering or unconscious behavior, you stay present and in touch with being and in thus able to then look beyond a form and feel the other person's radiant and pure being through your own. At the level of being, all suffering is recognized as an illusion. Suffering is due to identification with the form. Miracles and healing sometimes occur through this realization by awakening being consciousness in others as they're ready. Okay.